Mavis, well, thank you very much for accepting this interview.
It's my pleasure.
Since 9/11, the plot of women in Middle East has become politicized and fashionable, so everybody talks about it. However, you started supporting these women long before. When did you start it? How did it start?
Well, for a long time in the 90s, I was thinking I wanted to get active in feminism again, and I wanted to do something for women who were trying to advance things for women in their countries and needed a helping hand. And I just thought feminism in America was dropping the ball on that we weren't looking across our waters to our sisters everywhere else. My thinking is that no woman is safe until all women are safe. And all women have so much in common. And we want to know the lives of others, and we want to say to them, not, let us tell you what to do, but tell us what we can do. Tell us what you need, and if we can do it, we will.
To what extent do you think problems women are facing, specifically Middle East, is cultural? To what extent do you think it's legal?
I'm not exactly sure, because in quite a few countries women have had higher status and then it's gone down. So I don't think it's cultural, because why would that happen if it was cultural?
Tell me about your organization.
Well, the Feminist Majority, we have a lot of different things we do, things that have to do with laws and things in this country. And then my particular area started out as Afghanistan, and that still will always be the thing. I would never stop working to help the women, whatever happens, as long as they need a hand, I'm here. And frankly, as long as the Taliban exists, when they look in their rearview mirror, they're going to see me, And but also we've branched out, and we're also trying to help, one of the things I learned when I joined the Feminist Majority is that there are feminist organizations in every country in the world. So you can't pretend that this isn't something that women want. A lot of women live in cultures where they have no ability to change things, they're not allowed to leave, they're not allowed to vote, there is no way that they can do anything about the situation they're in. So that is not the same as agreeing to a culture. That is simply having something forced upon you. And I think if the world goes the way I hope it will go, I won't see it in my time, but I think if it goes the way I think it's going, there will be thousands of different versions of how a woman can be an equal participant in her culture, depending on the culture, the religion, the feeling of the people, and none of them will run against the heart of that culture, because you cannot tell me that men and women were meant to work together and each do 50% of everything. Men bring things to the table that we don't. We bring things to the table that they don't. And if we work together in every country, what a great world,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why did you choose education?
Well, no one can go further with their lives if they aren't educated. That is a key thing to have. And once you're educated, you can read and you can find out that the way you are living is not the only way people live, and it's also not the way that the women lived in your culture necessarily before, and it may not be the way that some women are living in your culture now. And this is the gift of education, is that it opens the pathway to change, and that is why the first thing that you have to be suspicious of in any individual is if they are against educating people. That is the first sign,
Mavis, were you consulted before war? Because at that time you were pretty active in the area. Did the administration come to you?
Actually, we were brought to the White House because the president had decided to tell Afghanistan that under the new government...
Oh, after the war.
After war. Before the war, we did get some concessions. Then Clinton was president, so he was more friendly to us. And he did help us, for instance, get girls out of Afghanistan into this country to educate them, because the problem, the girls had their own various ways of getting out, but the problem was the State Department wouldn't let them in. So basically President Clinton went to the State Department and said, from now on, you let them in. And they did. And we had, at the very beginning, believe it or not, the United States was, right at the beginning, they were going to declare the Taliban the legal government of Afghanistan, which would have been terrible. It would have given them all kinds of money and legitimacy, and it would have been an awful thing. And a lot of Afghan women that were living in this country, and men, collaborated with us, and we literally ran to the embassy and threw up a huge picket line and made a big fuss, and that went off the table and never came back again.
But during Bush administration, when they were going to war with Afghanistan, were you consulted at all?
No, I was in Europe when 9/11 happened, and I wasn't sure who had done it at first, because frankly we have some American groups that are really crazy that might have done something like that. And when it came out that it was Al-Qaeda, and they were of course based in Afghanistan, which we knew, I had a horrible 2 days sobbing on the phone with my husband back in LA. They're going to kill these women, and they hate the Taliban far, far more than we do. And they, and then luckily, the administration acknowledged that and said, we are not fighting the people of Afghanistan, we are fighting with them against the Taliban. That was the biggest relief of my life. I just thought, after all this...
How do you see the current administration, Obama administration? Do you think the policies in Afghanistan are going the right way?
I think they are trying. Unfortunately, people are so angry about wars after the huge mistake of Iraq, just a disastrous mistake. And particularly, it was very disastrous for Afghanistan because it took our money and attention away from it.
With your experiences, what do you think should be done in Afghanistan?
I think we need to stay the course there. I think we have to follow the modeling of quite a lot of individuals who have had success, particularly in the rural areas, where basically the message from everyone I speak to, and I'm talking about Afghan people that I speak to, is that no one likes the Taliban, but they're like the mafia in southern Italy. They come in with guns and money, and they buy people off, or they scare them to death, and they force their power on them. And we need to compete with them village to village. That's how we will win in the end.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.